Hey everybody, we're back at it again here on Project Old 68 Bird. I'm still trying to think of a clever name for it, but I haven't quite hit it yet. But when I do, I'll put it on. This is going to be maybe part one of a multi-part series of getting this car roadworthy. It's not too bad. It looks pretty good in the video when we loaded it, but I'm going to give you the good, bad, and the ugly of this thing. I did do a pre-vehicle inspection on this, but the footage, I must have screwed that up. So that's not my area of expertise. These cars, on the other hand, I like to think I know quite a bit about them. I'd love to share it with you. And while doing this build, if there's something you would like to see, let me know. I'll include it. I love to share the details. I love to get you involved or maybe motivate you to get there and finish yours. And in addition to that, when we're all said and done with this car, it's probably going to be for sale. So don't miss anything, because that way you know what you're getting before you buy it. So again, I like to keep you involved. Let's get this thing started, and I'm gonna give you the good once over. So check it out. First off, the day we hauled it home, it just started to rain. I haven't even cleaned the dust off this thing, but you see all the water spots in the hood. I'm gonna try to rub on the hood here a little bit, and you can actually see now how bad the paint actually is, how much cracking or crazing or whatever it might be. Then I kept polishing here in the center. It looks a little better, but as you can see, this doesn't look much better than that. So as the paint goes, well, it's pretty dead. But the part that I want you to see is, hopefully it won't make a liar out of me, but this thing has some carburetor issues, but this is kind of cool. We'll get in here. I won't even hit the gas pedal. Turn the key. It fires right up. So that's about the good or the best of the running car at this point. But I'll put this thing outside and get a little more light. Yeah, I guess it even shuts off too. Now, we'll do a little walk around here. The good news is the top's actually in good shape. I believe a good cleaning, and this top's gonna come out looking pretty good. Back window's a little bit yellowed, but very pliable and flexible still, so I would trust putting this top down without an issue. Now, all the paint, the car was originally red. This is the original paint scheme. White ivory parchment interior, black carpet. Kind of a cool steering wheel, but unfortunately it's got a pretty healthy crack in it. Center caps, horn button, a little cracked up too. It is a console car, 2-speed transmission, automatic of course. And then now the car, I'm still looking at it here, not too bad off. From here, like I said, I'm gonna give you the good at this point. Doors open, shut, hood opens and shut, tires round, brakes work. It drives, headlights work, taillights work, even the reverse lights work. Now, what you don't see in the video though, of course we've already discovered the paint's not so great. Yeah, the interior's a little tired. You got a little tear in the driver's seat over there, but again, I think this interior will clean up and look good, we'll call it driver quality, so you can at least have some fun with it. The dash, surprisingly, doesn't have any cracks, so I'm gonna call that real nice. Now, I guess those are the good qualities. Now let's get into maybe not so good. Now this car has some fender benders. This front fender, anyone who goes and builds these cars knows this shouldn't have a radius like this. It's probably gonna have to guess about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch of bond over here in the front corner of the fender. Well, not a deal breaker or horribly bad, but then you get down to the bottom of the fender down here, well, that's when it starts to get a little bit uglier. Well, I wouldn't consider this abnormal or unusual, but that's what both fenders look like. The door has some really small blistering in it. Rocker panel, on the other hand, is in great shape. I'll get you a shot underneath here in just a minute. Now, this part of the rocker, I'm not sure yet. They got a little bit of putty built up there. Down the bottom of the quarter, so that tells you they've kind of glued the rocker and the quarter together when someone did some Bondo work. But the rest of the rocker looks good, so I'm only going to assume when they put this skin in, they loaded it full of putty. Well, of course, that doesn't work. Same thing around the fender well arch. Can't really see it in the camera, but there's patch. And then even back here behind the tire, you see, get the camera angle right, you'll see a rectangular shape where it's blistered up. Same thing, someone tried to patch it. Pretty gnarly dent here. It's been rended, filled it full of Bondo, tried to make it look a little better. The tail panel, taillights are okay. They're relatively straight. Got a little ding in the one right here. Still kind of love that old 1968 Indiana plate. So I plan on actually restoring this plate. And this plate will go with the car when I sell it, or whenever that comes to be, if that's what happens with it. Going down this side, the rust bubbles aren't as bad. Same thing, quarter panel. I got some blistering down here. Oh, paint coming off back here. But behind the tire, this side looks a little healthier. Reason being is someone put an entire skin on this side somewhere in its life. They seamed it right here below the body line. I can show you inside the trunk. But rocker panel, same thing, not too bad off. But back to the same old rot here in the bottom of the fender. Not horrible, but I wouldn't consider that abnormal, but yeah, it kind of makes it look kind of sad. And then the front of the fender has similar blistering. So if you were to restore this car, it's kind of the point where I might find fenders for it, just because of the amount of work to fix them. I typically like to fix fenders, but the rust here in the front, same thing, a lot of putty right here in this fender, and that bottom corner starting to go. Now the front bumper, it's not twisted, not too bad off. Now I polished this side a little bit, just kind of test it out. Looks pretty good. It did look like this side. So the bumper will recover and look a little better. So I may go ahead and polish the whole bumper out and I guess improve the appearance some. Now under the hood, this is where, I guess you could say it's all here. It's intact. It is a power steering car, manual 4-wheel drum. I plan to upgrade that to disc brakes. Now the engine block, it is a 350 Pontiac. Unfortunately, it's a 1975. The 5C heads are 1975. Check the numbers on the side. It has 5 bolt holes for the engine mount, so that tells me it's 1970 to 76 engine block. So that fits the 1975, and even the number of steps on the front here tells me it's 1975. So that's the, I would say, not so good news about the engine. 1975 was probably one of the lowest performing years because of emissions. But the good news is, it starts right up, doesn't smoke, doesn't knock. So the engine's probably gonna stay in this car. Might give it a clean up and maybe even update that intake to a 4-barrel. At least it'll give it a little more of the wow factor and make it sound cool when you hit the loud pedal. Now, unfortunately, when it's running, I've either got an alternator bearing noise or water pump noise. I could probably start and let you hear it, but it gets kind of noisy, but it's got a nice buzz to it. So that will be something that will be repaired before considering calling it a good daily driver. I'll clean up some of the wiring and touch up that stuff. The firewall, look the whole thing over, got just a little bit of blistering on this seam here. Now that's about the worst I found on the firewall. Now I'll get you under the car here next and kind of get a peek around down underneath there. We'll get started here at the back of the car. Now, here, good news is brand new fuel tank. I'll take that as a huge victory on a car like this. And over there full of rot, sediment, varnish, and crud. So big bonus there. Rear leaf springs more recently replaced. We have new brake lines across the rear axles all the way to front to the rear, so brake lines are in great shape. Rear frame rails, I'll see if I can get the camera in here, but they're a little surfacey scaly, but no rust holes or anything. That's the rear spring shackle there, but that's kind of hard to get you down here. So rear frame rails, both in great shape. Shock mounts up here in the front. I'll show you inside. The trunk look great. The trunk drop-offs, now I'll get a little better shot if I can, but the inside of the quarter panel, this is the spot where these typically rot out. Now this is the passenger side. Just in that front corner is a little sad, but other than that, it's all here. Now I'll get you to look at the old driver's side here. It's not as pretty because someone, when they try to do the quarter skin, they weren't very delicate. They just ripped that thing to shreds. So unfortunately, the trunk drop off on the driver's side, that big gap there, misalignment. It is kind of a low quality install on that quarter skin. So if I were to keep this car, go to restoration time, well, this was going to need some attention. Now, the driver's side frame rail, well, it's shackle's a little crusty. The frame rail is surface rusty, but no blistering or falling apart real bad. Now, just this one side here, if I get the camera a little better, you can see something going on right there. Not going to be a killer of the car for a good driver, but well, long term, that's going to need some kind of treating or some kind of coating to slow the rust down on that one. Now I'll get you a look at the underside under the floorboards here. We'll start with the passenger side, where the leaf spring mounts up. We're good. Frame is in excellent condition, all the way up to the rear. Over the rear axle, all really nice shape. Now the carpet isn't falling through the floor, well, because there's some holes in it, but someone's laid some metal down. So when I pull that carpet up to look at it, I'm gonna find that there's probably some pieces of metal laid in there. Good news is the convertible bracing in excellent condition. I think it can be salvaged. Same as here in front where the seat area is at. Yeah, there's some holes, but there's metal sitting above it. So I don't know 100% what we're gonna do with this, but I'm gonna take the carpet out of the car, get a little better view. But the important part is the rocker panels. No major blistering or falling apart. Nice and solid. So I'm gonna call the rocker panels okay. Now up in the front, we do have one spot that's not so great. That's right here in that pinch weld. Now, not the end of the world, but we probably need some doctoring too. And same thing here, the front floorboard, a little less than desirable. So I would say the floor pans in this car are a little questionable, but I have seen and fixed a whole lot worse. Now the passenger side floor pans are by far the worst. The driver's side is not nearly as bad, but it does need some attention to make a good driver out of it. You poke your head underneath here this side. The worst we got is kind of this spot here. That's just right behind that rear convertible brace. So that's not too bad. Rear frame rails, good. The leaf springs, I'm sure, have been replaced. Normally they're sagged a lot more and cracked, and they have a newer paint to them. These bolts that attach it have been tampered with. So I'm gonna tell you, I think someone's replaced the leaf spring. So I'm gonna call that nice. Now, the floor pans on his side, though, like I said, probably 1,000 times better than the old passenger side. So I still have a plan of some sort, or hopes to actually replace the floor pans or part of it before I send this thing down the road. Get you a little better view here of the interior. Now, like I said, the dash wasn't cracked. The radio is not the original. Ashtray is nowhere to be found, but those can be replaced. Now, the thousands of flies flying around the interior tells you something's probably dead inside here. We'll find it at some point. I plan to take the seats, carpet out, and then hope to kind of clean it up. It has that typical, I've been in a barn for way too long smell. A little bit of, mildew mixed with mouse, mixed with some foul smells. But the interior is all here, just a little weathered, a little tired. I think a little touch up or some cleaning would actually do us some wonders, and I'm thinking at least a new carpet. Now the seats, well, they're not perfect, but I don't know how far we're gonna go with this car. Now the bottom of the doors are not in bad shape. Both doors look about like this. Door jambs, particularly this area here, not rusting through. It has some lousy paint work, of course, but same thing, not bad. Now the front corners here, I've fixed these cars where this is completely rotted out and missing, so I'm gonna take this as a victory still. These are in nice condition, the rockers. Now we'll learn more of the story once I get the carpet and the seats out of it, but this is just kind of a before once over, so you can see what we're getting into. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, here we have 14-inch Pontiac rallies with the Pontiac Motor Division PMD, you say poverty hubcaps. Now this thing's had brand new tires put on it. I would say they'll probably clean up real nice and work really good. Now this isn't going to be winning any kind of a muscle car show probably with this look, but it just makes it look, I guess, a classic and tidy. Now I don't know if these side moldings are original equipment or not. It's not something I do some research on. If you guys know out there, hey, let me know. I'm kind of debating whether should they stay or should they go. Same thing back here. All four tires and hubcaps are in fantastic condition. I guess you could say that's all the relatively good stuff. Well, one more stop here inside the trunk. Pontiac badge is there. Trunk's okay. Now inside the trunk, have a full-size spare. Same way, brand new rubber on that thing. Even the jack is still in this car, so I want to say that's another victory. Trunk floor is not rotted out. Shock mounts, kind of hard Get it in there. The good news is where the shock tower comes up, and of course there's piles of plastic or the old interior pieces, but that's not rust. That's just chunks of, I think you should say the convertible top well laying in there, so that's a good sign. Same thing all around the trunk floor this direction. Now the actual trunk floor, well, it does have some pretty scaly rust in it. There are some holes poking through, so not sure 100% what I'm going to do with that. May do some patching and definitely some chemical treating to slow the rust down. And then the passenger side, well, it looks just about like the driver's side. It's a little harder to get the camera in there, but it's in the same condition. Shock tower's in great shape. Frame rail, move this out of the way. It's actually really clean and actually in good condition. So I think the worst of the trunk, just the center trunk floor. So maybe a trunk floor panel. Yeah, undecided on that one. On the back of the car, even in the pick 'em up video when I went to pick it up, if we look straight down at the old license plate right now, you'll see something wrong. This is where the plate should be. That's where that side is. It's taken a hit there in this general area. I'm not sure when, why, where, or who, but it's pushed in quite a bit, probably about 1.5 inches on that one part at the most. So its tail panel needs a little love. Now the quarter skin was replaced on the driver's side, and they didn't do a very nice job of putting it in here at the back. They just kind of, I'd say gooped it in, smeared some putty, and sort of sanded it straight. The lower pinch weld, not right. Trunk drop off still there for the most part, but didn't do a very clean install on that quarter skin. Now this back seat, now of course there's obvious signs we've got some problems. Air freshener, I don't think that's gonna do it for this car, but I really can't get you to see or show up in the camera, but there's probably at least a good 13 to 570 billion flies flying around this back seat. So I'm gonna go ahead and venture to pull this thing out and see what died in here. Ugh. You don't hear that, but I stepped on the floorboard back here, and I don't think I want to step on this side. I'm going to step on that side. Oh, that doesn't sound much better. Blue Solo Cup. Hey, Chad, if only it was red. I'm almost afraid to do this. Well, all right, well, nothing jumped. Oh, wow, gross. Ugh. Disgusting. Got one dead mouse here. Piles of very not pleasant smelling substance, and piles and piles of yuck. So no big dead bodies, just dirt. So not as scary as I thought it was gonna be. Just signs of an old car, I guess you could say. Let me get you in here a little closer. Ugh, gross. Anyway, the trunk floor. Of course, there's a quarter. I'm not sure if it's worth touching or not, but let's see. It says 1983. Not old. Just piles of whatever an animal decided he wanted to eat on and leave it in here. So not that bad, I guess, after all. Well, that was fun. Got the car, give once over. You kind of see what we're starting with. It's not a piece of garbage, but it's not a natural gem. It looks good in them videos, but it's not too bad. Part of the reason why I encourage you, get these cars looked at before you buy them. They may have some hidden rust, may have some hidden damage, may have some thing dead on the inside like this car. I haven't found it yet, but it just smells awful. Even with the top down, it's not good. But anyway, besides all that, we're going to do some upgrades. We're going to get this thing to be in good driver condition, do some floor patching or repairs, some brake upgrades, engine upgrades, clean it up, maybe get the paint to shine a little bit. I don't plan on going overboard with it, but I guess while doing this process, is there something that you would like to see us do? Throw it in the old messages. I'm going to put in the description of this video, our email link. Hit me up there. Let me know if there's something in particular you'd like to see some details on. I'll do these cars in my sleep because I love them so much. Sometimes I get carried away and just start doing it. I don't slow down. I want you to join us on this. And if there's things you'd like to see, let me know. I'll make sure we include that in the video. But the goal here is make this thing a super solid driver, reliable, and look, relatively decent and drive safe down the road. So, and then in the end, probably going to send it down to a new owner also. So if it's something you're interested in, hey, subscribe, watch the build, keep involved so you know what you're paying for when it comes down to, say, for sale time. So I'm going to say it's going to wrap us up this time around. These flies aren't getting any better even with the top down, and it looks like it's getting ready to storm. So I need to get this thing back in the garage. So again, thanks for watching. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time.